Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto Snow. My name is Jeff. I'm here to talk to you about Impermax, the new lending protocol I recently published a video about 2 weeks ago. I'm here to do a follow-up video to show you the new application that they recently launched into the marketplace and show you a little bit about how it works and why there's such an attractive yield opportunity coming to Impermax. Impermax just rolled out its platform within the last week. If you head over to app.impermax.finance, you'll be able to open the application and see what it's all about. So I'm done over here as I've logged in already, and you can see the 4 different pools that they currently have today. The biggest being the USDC, USDT pool, and then the USDC ETH offering most attractive leveraged LP, APY, or annualized yield. What I'm looking at here right now is I'm trying to get the most bang for the buck, the most return, the most yield. And I'm looking at this 101 and it's definitely very attractive. I have a little note here that sort of says that this is based on the last 7 days fees, assuming a 5 times leverage ratio. So that's just a rough ballpark, but we get a sense of, based on the current utilization rates, the amount of liquidity in these pools, that this is currently the most attractive one right here. So if we go over here and we click on this, you'll be able to see the different options you have. So up in the left-hand corner here is USDC coin. This is a stable coin pegged to the US dollar. The other token here is Ethereum. So this is the pool that we're looking at to provide LP tokens, liquidity provider tokens, which I've already purchased on Uniswap. I went directly there, put USDC and ETH into a pool, and received my LP token, which is my proportional share of the fees that are generated on that pool on Uniswap, the 0.3% fees. So I'm collecting those fees with my LP tokens, but now I can take those tokens, I can stake them in this platform, and then I can leverage them to earn more yield, which is really cool. So I'm just gonna kind of show you a little bit about what's going on here. So right now, just to show you, total supply, 85K, total borrow, 69K, utilization rate, 80%. So right now, we can see that the supply APY, just simply by putting USDC into this pool, you get a 15% yield. Borrowing will cost you 21%. Then you can see on the other side, we've got 99,000 of ETH supplied and then 80,000 borrowed. So the yields on these lending, like if you're gonna lend ETH into this pool, you get 16%. So if you've got ETH lying around and you don't wanna stake it in ETH2 and collect a 10 or 11% yield from staking, you put it in here for 16% and park your ETH there and earn some fees. And so that's an option. But really what I'm excited about is doing the LP token leveraging. So I'm gonna provide the LP tokens. I'm gonna borrow against that asset as collateral to juice and leverage my returns. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like today. So if we come down here, you'll see borrowing and lending. Lending just simply means I've got some ETH. If I hit supply, it'll show you, oh, I've got 0.69 ETH here. I've already connected my wallet in the top right corner. If I hit max, it would show me the total amount, yield I would receive. I'm already approved because I've done this in the background with my MetaMask wallet prior to this demo. And then there's this supply button, which allow me to just, it'll ping my wallet and say, hey, are you gonna confirm this? So I'm not gonna do that because it would be looks like a little bit too expensive. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the borrowing side, and I'm going to go to this button here that says deposit, and you'll see it says available 0.000161 USDC ETH. I put 100 USDC and $100 worth of ETH into a pool. Small amount, just for representative purposes. If I click max, it'll max out my position. It'll show the total amount of the LP tokens, and then I just have to simply approve this transaction. This basically is saying, hey, we want to connect your wallet with this smart contract. Are you okay with that? It's always good to read this and make sure these addresses align up with what you intend to do. Because if it's not, it could be a scam. So I'm going to sign off on this transaction. I know what the address is. I see app.impermax.finance. So I'm comfortable with this one. I'm going to sign it. Then I now have a chance, since I've approved it, now I have a chance to deposit. Then it's going to call my MetaMask and it's going to ask me to approve the transaction. Something I always recommend to people, with Ethereum in particular, when things are congested on Ethereum network, sometimes it's very helpful to maximize your gas fee. It costs a lot of money, but I like to do that just to make sure that the transaction goes through. I'm just gonna click fast here, I'm gonna click save. What I'm basically doing here is I'm depositing my LP tokens by confirming this and setting my gas price. Now I've submitted. It's in the background. It's now in the queue on Ethereum, on the blockchain. We'll see if somebody mines this, gets this order completed, and then it does, it's gonna show up in my account like we just see here. So right now you'll see total collateral, $200.79, LP equity, same. And when you look down here, you'll see this deposit, it's showing that I have this. Now is the fun part. Now I have the opportunity to use what's called leverage and maximize my return by leveraging up these LP tokens and borrowing against them. And basically I'm just recursively taking these LP tokens, borrowing against it, and just recycling that over and over again until I hit a certain maximum leverage threshold. If I click leverage here, you're gonna see that opportunity, right? It says max leverage up to 9 times, which is really incredible that they can allow that to happen. And it's because of their isolated pools, which I talked about in my previous videos. If you look here, you can see that you're able to slowly toggle this and kind of adjust how much leverage you want just by moving the slider. And just kind of walk you through this. Let's park this at 3 times leverage. All this is saying is basically, I'm going from 1 times leverage to 3 times, so I'm using 3 times the amount. So I put in $100 USDC, $100 ETH, together it's $200. Doing 3 times now gives me $600 of borrowing power. Instead of $200, now I can maximize and leverage that to $600. So I'm just able to increase the amount of capital that I'm using by leveraging and borrowing. So what I'm gonna do here is I just wanna maybe think about what this looks like if I ramp up the leverage a bit, right? What you can see here is, this is really helpful, the liquidation price. If the price crosses these boundaries, your account will become, it's possible it could be liquidated. So all this is saying is you should be very mindful of the swings in the price of ETH and how that can impact your position. If it swings too far in the wrong direction, leverage cuts both ways, and you could get liquidated. That's a key risk with this thing. You need to make sure you understand what you're doing, read the documentation, and make sure you have enough liquidity on hand to ensure that you don't get liquidated. So although it will allow me to do up to 9 times leverage, I'm a little bit more conservative. I'm gonna maybe pop in here and do 3 times leverage. I think it's cool. They've had these different color schemes here to kind of indicate to you as a user, hey, this is very dangerous. You can put too much leverage on and get wiped out pretty quickly. So I'm just gonna keep this at a pretty moderate level of 3 times. That's $600 of power, buying power. And slippage is just like setting slippage in Uniswap or in these other AMMs. It's just to make sure that you have enough slippage to get the transaction through at the time that you approve it. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna approve the USDC side of the equation, and we're gonna approve the E side of the equation. This again, allowing the smart contract to interact with our wallet. And then what's really cool here, you can see the estimated APY. So at 3 times leverage, and get a 69% return, which is pretty attractive relative to what I would get just by putting this into the regular pool on Uniswap, which would be 3 times less than the 68 or 69% that we see here. So this is really attractive for that reason. I just put up a small amount and I get to use a lot more to get a higher return. I like to set my slippage fairly low. So that's what I'm gonna do here. And then all I have to do is click leverage. And then it's gonna, once again, ask me to go through this transaction. I'm gonna go here and do the fastest transaction possible. And remember that this total amount here is inclusive of the value of your position in addition to the gas. So the dollar amount can look a little confusing or misleading, but that's correct. So here we go. We're gonna do this now. We've got this leverage kicking in, and we're basically just waiting for the blockchain to approve this transaction. And once it does, I will now have a position in the Impermax lending protocol. I took $200, I leveraged it up 3 times, and now $600 of power. And you can see the 600 right here. And you can see sort of a range of like the liquidation and how this will work and where I could get liquidated. That's a good sense of the risk here. So that's why they offer that here. So here we go. I'm here, I'm parked. You can see my position, which is pretty cool. I'm just gonna sit here and collect my 69% APY for as long as I can. The other benefit of doing this, by the way, is that putting this into the protocol, Impermax recently rolled something out where they're offering IMX tokens for when they list. They will airdrop those IMX tokens to liquidity providers that are using their protocol from when they made the announcement, I think a few days ago, up until when they list. We don't know, when they're gonna do the time frame and what the various parameters are, but we do know that it's based on the borrowed amount. You can also lend and earn tokens as well, but if you borrow, you get more power, right? So instead of $200, now it's $600. So it's a way to incentivize users to take on more leverage and borrow as much as possible so that the larger their position is, the more IMX tokens that they will get airdropped when this thing does finally list. So that's really a big incentive here. Just to kind of follow through on what I would do from here, you can deleverage if you feel like the risk is too high. You can change this so that you're not as risky as you were. We can take out some of the leverage here. You can see it says 3x moving down to 1x up here. And then you can see that the liquidation prices change down here actually. So not interested in deleveraging at this time, but you have the option. You also have the option to just withdraw. You can take out your tokens at any time. And it's just a matter of going through the transaction if that's what you decide that you want to do. And so I'm in here and I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna earn my yield, and very excited about that. You can see that the leveraged APY has come down a little bit. That's as more people add a liquidity to this pool and the various utilization rates change, you'll see that APY fluctuate. It's based on how much liquidity is available in each of these pools. They're all isolated from one another. So that's just a quick tutorial of how this works. If you need more information about how to use this, they've put together this great user guide right here, which is just awesome. I encourage you to check it out. It'll teach you how to get LP tokens from Uniswap and then put them into this protocol. You can also read this great document here, which will give you all the smart contract addresses, all the audits that they've done to date, and then a bunch of information about borrowing and lending and how liquidation works. So when you get a chance, go and check this out. I think you're going to be really impressed with the yields that you can earn on this platform. And I'm really excited about what this is going to do for the lending market. We saw what happened with Alpha Homura when they launched. It was slow and steady, I think 5 to 10 million of total value locked for a period of 1 or 2 months. And then people started to catch on that you could leverage the tokens that you're putting in that protocol, and earn a higher yield, which is really exciting. And so I'm seeing what Impermax is doing here. They've done it in a more novel way, such that you can actually take on more leverage and get a greater yield, but also with somewhat lower risk, in that these pools are all isolated from one another, so we don't have cascading liquidation risks, which is really what is a mitigating factor on other platforms like Alpha. And so this is why I'm really excited about this. I really do believe this could be a billion plus sort of market cap, and the rumored valuations out of the gates are going to be less than $1 million, I think less than 500,000, something crazy like that. So just a great opportunity to get involved in this protocol, learn how it works, earn some yield, have a chance to get IMX tokens in an airdrop just for participating in this protocol before they launch sometime in April, I believe. And so this is just a great opportunity to get that exposure to a name very early on. I think 3 to 6 months from now, you're gonna hear a lot about Impermax, and I think they're gonna be one of the top players in the lending market, likely greater and bigger than Alpha Homura. So stay tuned for future videos as I continue to dig around this platform and learn more and share it with you guys. Thanks.